this is Kaytibunny, and you are watching Superhero Self. Today we have superhero Kyle Del Bonis with us to talk to us about the light and the dark in your life. Now, Kyle, we all know that we have shadow and light inside of us, but people don't know the tools to overcome that shadow and getting into the darkness. So will you tell us a little bit about your experience with being a light being, but also having to deal with the darkness inside of you?
Well, above all things, I believe in balance. Everything is in constant entropy and ebbing and flowing, and the lightness and the darkness is in union around us all the time. It's great to be a light being, like we all are, but we all have shadow too, and it's important to acknowledge that shadow and to go into it and to see what lessons it can teach you so you can marry the shadow and the light.
Yeah. It's really important. Now, we all have really great days where we feel like this ultimate light being, where we're radiating our love from our core, and we can't help but smile and spread it like that. But we always have that darkness, the dark days where maybe we sit inside ourselves and we don't know how to get through it. So, Kyle, do you have any experiences that you can draw upon? Maybe give our audience some tips from your experience with darkness?
Yeah, the greatest shadow that I face, which has led me to these practices that have developed the superhero that I am, was sustaining a very grievous injury as a martial artist. I tore my plantaris entirely as a Muay Thai practitioner, which is a mostly vestigial muscle that's engaged during the balls of your feet. At that time in my life, I didn't have a practice to balance this very aggressive art. I wasn't doing anything to help heal myself from these highly intense outputs. So no yoga, no meditation, just my standard daily routine, and then going to hit bags and people for extended amounts of time and not making space for the healing. So that eventually caught up with me after years, and I tore my muscles to pieces and my knee and my right leg. I didn't do what I needed to heal myself because I didn't know how to listen to my body then. I knew that practices like yoga could help strengthen my body and my character. So I started going into that. But I was going into it from a place of resistance and fear, blaming myself, getting caught in my mind loops that I did this to myself, that I am in pain, and that I need to do this now to recover the strength that I felt like I was losing, that I felt like I wasn't going to have again in my life. So I continued down that path for years, eventually gaining the strength to call on people to help me, which was another shadow of mine that played into this, being fiercely independent to a detriment. It was one day that one of my healers told me that your pain is a gift because all the greatest healers in the world were once themselves wounded. That changed my perspective greatly on my practice, and I was excited to move even deeper into it. So after that day, first and foremost, is I would enter my practice with gratitude for this mountain that was presented to me to move. So I would move in with positive affirmations, slowly releasing a doubt with every movement, every touch, every thought, every time I sat and meditated, every stretch of every muscle. And then eventually, the pain started to release its grip. I started learning more things about my body. I was able to listen to it even more. And through lots of other arts and practices, years later, I find myself in a state where I'm not waking up in chronic pain every day. I'm not blaming myself for hurting myself. I'm not comparing myself to others who don't know the pain that I am in. And now I have this amazing set of tools that I recognize now as powers that I can share with others.
Wow. I mean, I don't know about you out there, but I can totally relate. I mean, have you had an injury that just made you go flat, and then coming back with it from it was just such a hard journey? Well, I love what you said about just changing your thought patterns and going into your healing environment with positive affirmations, knowing that you will do it, knowing that you'll beat this and you'll get over it. And it takes time. It probably took a lot of time, right?
Yeah, I was in this self-doubt and shame cycle for at least 4 years. It was only within this last year that I really came into knowing that I was truly healing myself, and that my body had the answers inside that I needed to heed in order to continue my healing.
Well, congratulations for first off having the presence to know that you must heal yourself. A lot of people hurt themselves, whether it's physically or emotionally or spiritually. They get hit and they're down and they don't recover for a lifetime. So being able to have presence that you can take the steps, whatever the steps that are necessary, whether it's a hurt body part or hurt heart, there's always community and answers out there. So just seeking those answers, I mean, give yourself a pat on the back because you're on the way to evolving yourself. And then taking those steps and waking up every day with positive affirmations, again, knowing that, like, yes, I'm healing myself. And you will have those hard days where you're going to be in your shadow. But, you know, the shadow and the light, they work together. The shadow is not a part of yourself that you need to push away. If you're sad one day, be sad. It's a very powerful thing to cry and release grief, release tears, you know, and then that will get you in connection to your light body. And these tips that you're giving are really great because you can work with your shadow and give that experience that you're going through positive light.
Yeah, I mean, there's light on this other side of every shadow and shadow on the other side of every light. And to mirror what you just said, it is about communication. It's about asking the right questions. But this is a communication with your body which speaks in silent and subtle tones. I have to say that some of my most treasured practices right now probably would be ecstatic dance. So I was always comfortable with my body as a martial artist, and then became more easily comfortable with it as a yogi, because these are all practices that allow me to use my body in ways that I am in control of. And when I started doing ecstatic dance, I kid you not, the first 4 times or so I went, I just sat and watched all these people moving in a bright lit environment, entirely sober, at 11 o'clock in the morning at a Masonic temple in Culver City. And years later, I'm the one who's running around and making all these strange movements and noises, and just like finally getting to the point to understand what ecstatic movement is, because you really truly can get to a place where the body moves you and you don't move it. You listen to what it wants and then it comes. And that in itself revealed so much more shadow than I thought, because this comes from the energy down here, where in this world today, a lot of people are focused from here up. It's a lot of like the throat and the heart and the mind and the crown and the third eye. But you need a strong foundation in order to grow all of those things. So I went really deep into my root energy, and that brings up a lot of your shadow, a lot of your demons. And that helped me see a lot more that I needed to heal with. And it took me deeper into my practice of learning tapping, shaking, EFT, emotional freedom technique. It is all aligned with the idea of like acupressure and acupuncture, but you can do it to yourself. You can like tune into your body. Shaking, for example, everyone's seen an animal that just came out of a really like traumatic situation. What do? They just like shake, they just go for it. And that's them releasing trauma. And you can do that to yourself. It might seem a little strange at first, but try it for a few times. Like shake that leg that has that injured knee, or like shake that arm with a hurt shoulder. This can also be facilitated by a lot of medicine out there too. I had a really, really deep and challenging relationship with cannabis. And this is what taught me one of the most important lessons about my body, is that when I was doing cannabis for the first 3 times, smoking in particular, I wasn't getting the pain relief that so many people said that comes with that. In fact, I was experiencing more pain. And at that point in my journey with my healing cannabis, I was like, what now is wrong with me? What more is wrong that I don't get the relief that so many other people do? But I kept with it. I kept with the healing. I kept with the communion with plants and nature. And now I realize that what cannabis was showing me was the actual state that my body was in. It was putting me in my body and showing me the true pain it was experiencing. And then I realized that in all other moments of my life, I was not as present with the pain I was experiencing. I wasn't listening deeply enough. And recently, I don't feel that pain anymore. So I know that I've made some progress and that what I'm doing works.
Wow.
That's how I had that realization.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience and your stories. I mean, every superhero has an origin story, right? They come from darkness to overcome it and be inspiring light beings to help make the world a better place. A couple things we can give you to take away at home is, like he was saying, listen to your body. Be in touch with your temple, because what's the one thing that you'll have your entire life?
This vessel.
It's right here. So take care of it. Listen to it. And if you feel resistance, look at it. Have your body be a mirror. Now, whether you hurt yourself physically or maybe you're stressed out at work, it all manifests in your body and it's trying to tell you something. So listen, and you give us some great examples of how to tune into your body and when you're healing to give it positive manifestations, because law of attraction, we all know, is a real thing. So if you attract the healing components, then it'll happen. Again, it might take time, but yeah, thank you so very much. Anything else you'd like to add?
I just want to reiterate what I mentioned in my interview, is that the body really doesn't lie. It can't lie. It holds millennia of truth carried through generations, and it's all there if you're willing to listen.
Thank you so much. Kyle, you are an amazing superhero, and we look forward to seeing your photo shoot. So stay tuned. Check out his amazing photos of light and dark. So stay tuned. We have more superheroes to come here at Superhero Self.